Hello, Divine Feminine. This is a timeless reading of yours. Please bear in mind a few details while we get into your reading. Bear in mind that I am Master 7th, aka 7th, that reads these energies for you. Should you want to know who she is, what I'm all about, and what I have to offer, a little insight is that I am a master healer that provides remote wellness and tarot intuitive insights. However, further details can be found in the description box below. All right. There are other various links within the description box to help you navigate this channel and to gain access to my sister channel. There's further content over there that might be of some use to you. Bear in mind that femininity both includes masculine and feminine attributes, so take the energies however they are, for they're non-gender specific. And since this is not a one-to-one reading, use your discernment to take all of that which belongs to you and leave the rest behind. Divine Feminine, I do feel you making a lot of strides so far, you know. A lot of the energies so far in the last few readings for me as a reader has been Divine Feminine being an overactive masculine energy. We have the 8 of Swords with Wheel of Fortune, the 10 of... Oh, sorry. Yeah. With the 10 of Feathers, which is Wands, and the Ace of Stones. Ten feathers, 10 swords, 1 stone. I feel like this is like doing like runes, but like excessive. I feel like this is like it's almost coming off as doing too much energy, of wanting to ritualize something that you can't see. Like you want to convince an outcome to happen rather than allowing an outcome to showcase itself. Sometimes it may be important to take notice that when you try to conjure up energies that you maybe didn't get taught by an elder, like you're doing it in your little room, not little, but you're doing it in your space of your own, and you're doing it on your own. Is it wrong to dabble with creativity and exploration and conjuring your world however you want to see fit? No. I think part of also growing up in the 90s is partly because of knowing that, well, if you grew up in the 90s at all, spending time outside meant, you make a brew with mud, water, twigs, and leaves, and whatever bugs you might find, right? And that's more or less like conjuring up something. And then there are elders, ancestors, yogis, monks, who, even witches, who can conjure up an atmosphere. And the one who's witness to this atmosphere, man, there isn't just no denying that this individual can conjure something up that you as a witness are fucking feeling, right? Is it wrong? Again, no, I don't see anything wrong with it. And when we come into a stage where we ask a lot of questions and we're not okay with the outcome, of the answer that does come all the time as a reply, I think that's when we can do more harm than good, to focus on external matters to give us something to then accept within ourselves. It makes more sense when we accept something within ourselves and then that have a placement to show up in the external version of life. Are there times where we put in certain emotions and certain blanks within our world, in the internal world, in our silent world, that when that comes into fruition, somehow we're like, oh, maybe that wasn't the right emotion. Maybe it was quote unquote wrong. Maybe I have to go for another item to put into this blank of curiosity. I think conjuring up the world in that perspective gives you far more reality check than reading up books and trying to figure out which recipe to conjure up and then be anticipatory of something either leaning towards as pro or against the answer that you're looking for. You can put that to the test now. You could. This is not about belief. This is about putting it to the test. I think this is part having to do with the Wheel of Fortune. Realizing that, or maybe coming to realize, that some of the things that have been heard are like becoming redundant. However you're hearing news is becoming repetitive over and over and over again. And I think this is starting to weigh heavy on individuals, and it's going to induce more or less chaos of the mind like it's intended to. And the chaos of the mind is going to have to force you to act. Are you going to get into action and be there for people? Or are you going to be a person that is going to step into action for self? Or are you thinking that stepping into yourself is an act of service for another person? Or can somebody tell you that you need to produce an opinion, because without an opinion, the atmosphere is almost very fragile, and teaching you very quickly whether or not something is good or bad for you. How well you are to knowing what your own personal good and bad are is also at the same time coming to the situation of full transparency. Maybe you didn't like this person, and maybe you don't know if this person is good and bad. And maybe you yourself don't know whether or not it's safe for you to trust a person or not, because of growing pains, emotional betrayal, whatever it may be. Ins and outs, flighty, persons may be unavailable, shows himself every once in a while, and whatever it may be. I think there's value to be had going to zone of self and coming up with answers on your own, even if it means you come down the road and realize that you may have to change your answer. At least you provided an answer. At least you didn't wait for anyone to give you an answer. You didn't wait for that text message. You didn't wait for that phone call. You didn't wait for someone to you're not waiting on anybody anymore. You're not waiting for anyone to validate you creating a safe space to say something. You're not waiting anymore for having brought yourself maybe to an interview of some kind and being anticipatory if someone's going to call you back or not. Like you're learning how to begin lacking codependency. And it's very important to knowing how the positives of the Wheel of Fortune works, because the Wheel of Fortune is an energy for me as a reader that can see that most often than not, being out in a world isn't always fortunate. And then you deal with a bunch of other people who are also trying to figure out where the fortune lies. Some are fortunate, some are not, but we're all trying to get part of the fortune. And that's where it's like the clue, well, if you can get it, I can get it too. Yet what's in the way of what you have, and if you have it, do I want it too? It's an ego world out there. It's an ego world to try to figure out, I need that, and if I need more of that, I need more of this, and if I have that, I can get that. And if I can't get that, then I don't know what life is all about. It's an ego war facing the world, showing up to work, having to pay bills, asking people how they are, paying for people, paying it for people means paying attention to them. Speaking words so that you are also seen, right? Being an employee, being not just a number, not just a patient, not just an athlete, not just a defendant, not just a civilian, not just a citizen, not just a person, but an identity. You are a mattering. And to be able to intellectualize, especially English, in such a way that you become romantic to it, makes you realize why English is exactly the transactional language to receive and to say that you require. Because everything else is trying to fill up the cracks with what it is that you're trying to conceive in context clues. In context clues, whether or not you most likely have to figure out if a person likes you, if a person is going to call you, if a person is going to, yeah. I say this because English is my primary language. However, it's not my first language. Okay, so that's why it's also coming up as a message. So Ace of Stones is that. It's the Ace of Pentacles, where the materialism of the world is the only thing that can weigh you down. It's also the only thing that shows up as a secular method to being that one output the universe can give you to make you feel abundant in some way. Because it's a tangible item that you can either grasp or pay something with. So it makes it almost seem like it's an allowance from ether, and a free allowance, and a priceless one, and one that can get you anything and everything. The most important thing, I think, to that is to know both sides of the coin. Know that both sides of a situation. Know that light comes with darkness, and that darkness comes with light. You cannot separate the two. You can't. You can't stand in the shadow of the sun and not look at the ground and realize that you're also producing shadow. You just can't. You can't pick up a coin and not realize there's another denomination of the equal side, equal value to the other side of the coin. When you pick up an object, it has something underneath it. It has a top, it has a side, it has a right side, it has an underneath, it has substance. It can be empty and have matter. It can be full and matter. I'm seeing someone be an English teacher in the pursuit of that. Maybe also like in the graduate or undergrad English. Maybe in a stage of figuring out if they want a minor or major in English. Definitely seeing school teacher vibe here for sure. Even like a linguist, someone who's really good with languages. We have justice. Yeah, be beautiful is a fragile thing, right? You can do, even most often not the ones who are deemed being beautiful are the ones struggling to accept their beauty. I think the goal for a lot of you are to become weightless. Like the ballerina shoes are just like, or what seems to me like ballerina. It's just a beautiful message of not taking everything so seriously. Well, it takes a lot of work, like a lot of work to be a ballerina, right? And there are consequences to the anatomy of the feet. You know, ballerinas have issues with their feet, could have issues with their feet, most likely will have issues with their feet as they get older. Yet that's is sacrificed. They more or less accepted when they went into being a ballerina, you know, or maybe that's just a beautiful disaster of a consequence that comes from choosing something that gives you meaning and gives you the ability to think that you're flying at all times. I think some of you are trying to figure out your superpower, you know, like there are things happening within you. Oh, by the way, that's knives. 10 of knives, 10 of swords, yeah. It just looks like very much like swords. It's knives, but okay. And we have then the 9 of swords energy. Yeah, I think like some of you are struggling with your faith, your religion, maybe even political affiliations. This is a very confusing time, especially if you're politically involved. Y'all are losing your marbles. It's kind of nice not being in that at all. Don't regret that. Not even if you asked me a million times, then I would be pulled into a corner if my life depended on it. I'd be like, no, still don't care. I would say in that moment, I care too much to give a damn. And I think some of you are learning the valuable life lessons from that. I care too much to give a damn. Care too much. If you need to put the damn down. Just slow that shit down if you need energy from that. But I'm not gonna stop for nothing. I've electrified enough. I care too much to give a damn. Isn't that? That sounds about right. I think. I think that sounds about right. I think those are the moments where you're like, whoa. Whatever may be, let them ascend down right now and take care of this shit, because I can't even wash my hands. That's how much I want to stay out of that shit. That's kind of like, I'm not going to speak on it. God, heaven, hell, earth, devil, Satan, what? Nah, just show up and put forth, put out, done deal. And then we move on. Temperance, interesting. Eight of Pentacles. Yeah, I feel like some of you are really beginning that sacred little journey of figuring out your own little superpowers, you know. What does it mean to be a witch, you know? Sometimes it takes controversial titles to get you pulled in, you know. That's how some of these cults get started, which is a very sad aspect. Scary. Okay? But I think I don't think you guys are, this collective is not, can't be really induced to be part of a cult, because there's a lot of independent thinking here that's showing up too much within this reading, okay? It's too much independent thinking is showing up. I think that's where the overactive energy of that masculine energy beginning of the reading also shows up. It's like you don't have time. You don't have time for the narrative. follow nobody. Okay, I think some of you are smart enough to also know that some of the problems that are political came from following people, you know, and maybe also contingent on that. Who knows? But I do see you diving in your own quantum physics of magic and exploring your own research of things. You know, I would say tread lightly using cuckoo. Okay, like tread lightly using it. Like I would maybe go to the 500 page for that data that you're looking for. Oh, come on. I'm getting some like pissy energy from some ancestors. Alright, so somebody go report to your ancestors and figure out if that's you, coming from you or not. Alright. So alright, we have the death card here. I think that's where it's coming in. Some of you are dabbling in certain energies that you could at least get more wisdom on before you decide to continue. Especially if you're going into something where you must admit you might be a little ignorant about it. Do some research. Use your intuition to allow yourself to get that. Don't tell nobody to ask, like, give you the fact check. Like, don't put that narrative on nobody. Like, if you're gonna be thumbs warring in the social media of things, you know, like doing a little wake up warrior stance here. Don't ask somebody to fact check shit for you. If they're saying something, let them saying something. If they're providing a fact, then they're letting them provide a fact. But no one is responsible to give you the resources as to where they got their information from. No one is responsible for that shit. A lot of you don't understand that, but I don't understand why some of you don't understand that, because of some of the contracts and the conditions that you ask of you and your God falls in line with that shit. It falls in line with that shit. Some of your requests haven't been fact checked, but you want it to be fact checked by Ether. Make it make sense, y'all. Alright. 10 of Wands with the, what is this, the Ace of Cups? Interesting. And the, oh no, this is the Page of Cups. And then the King of Cups. 10 of Wands. I think some of you will really dive deep into your fears and allow them to speak for themselves. I don't know if this is a knight. This is a new deck, so I don't know, a knight or... Gives me Knight of Cups energy. This one could give me Queen of Cups. Give me 1 second, let me go validate that. One moment, y'all. Okay, yeah, so we were right. We're onto something. So this is the Knight of Cups, and this is the King of Cups. Okay. Now that while we have the book open is all for a reason, so let's read the message. Knight of Cups. You are ready to offer your heart again, to make your desires and intentions known in your situation. Follow your gut to know when the time is right, and don't be afraid to lay it all out on the table. Your passion will prove contagious, potentially pulling others into alignment with your cause. This is an opportunity for you to begin to make public what you love, be it a project, movement, or person, and to take pride in that love. The King of Cups is guidance. Like a bubble rising to the top of even the stormiest seas, you are able to rise above any emotional state and navigate safely back to calm waters. There is a sense of healthy detachment here, an awareness of feelings without being consumed by them. If there is a long-standing emotional issue you have needed to sort out, this is a great time to do so. Gather information while you have this vantage point and use it to plot a new course you can continue to follow even after you dip back beneath the surface. Yeah, I think this kind of rounds out the entire reading very well with just the meaning of those two cards. Very cool. All right. Let's see what else we got for you. I'm seeing that someone who may have decks, like if you have decks at all, it's been a while, and if you have a deck, you haven't touched this deck in a while, touch the deck or cleanse them, or just in general, it's time to cleanse your decks. Alright. We have death. I am learning that endings are merely beginnings. We have denial. I acknowledge my fear, but I replace it with the insight of awareness. We have guilt. I release any beliefs that no longer assist in my soul's growth. And lastly, we have imagination. I embrace and nourish the creative aspect of my mind. All right, Divine Feminine, it has been an honor. I'm wishing you a wonderful morning, noon, or night, wherever you are in the ether of this time and space. And may you keep flowing, growing, and glowing.